Hi friends, welcome to this latest episode of the Nationalist View, and we have with us today Mr. Anal Raj Bhattarai from Kathmandu, Nepal. Mr. Bhattarai, thank you so much for joining the
Thanks
show.
for inviting me.
Mr. Bhattarai is a noted economist in Nepal, and we are going to talk with him about the economic situation of Nepal, especially in context of the forthcoming general elections in Nepal, which are going to be held on March 5th. So, Mr. Bhattarai, my first question is, how would you assess Nepal's economic situation as the country is, heading into the upcoming elections?
The economy, if you look at the economic, few figures are very attractive, like having a good amount of foreign currency reserve and a good amount of liquidity in the market and low interest rate. Even inflation is currently very low, with it floating around 1.5%. So interest rate is many years low, maybe 10 to 15 years low. There are the positive part, and other part is there is no demand as such, and youth are not youth are frustrated because they are not getting a job, and if they want to do something, they have to go outside and they have to depend upon foreign employment. So lots of employment are not coming, and private sector are not confident due to several factors, like even with the low interest rate. If you look at if you go travel 5 years back or 6 years back, when there was a huge growth in Nepal. Well, Nepal, about in 1990, our growth, 2019, our credit growth surpassed 37%, and even GDP growth also was around 7 to 9%. So those days are higher growth period. Now growth rate is about 3 to 4%, and IMF has projected around 5%, but World Bank said it will grow around 2.5%. And our Bureau of Statistics say that next year growth will be around 3.1%. So there's a mixed scenario, and due to several things like governance issue, capital expenditure issues, there are so many other issues. Economy, though other factors are very, very strong, and economy, there is, what we can say is that there is a background for economy to jumpstart, but it's not happening. So there is a low morale among youth, and even further with the industrial sector.
So, sir, as you mentioned, that jobs is are a basic one of the major challenge in Nepal right now. So, what do you think to what extent are the economic issues like jobs, inflation, and slow rate of growth? So, is it also influencing the voter sentiment in this election?
Nepalese voters are not that economic sensitive because if we look at the past history of Nepal, they are not well educated about economy. Economy, though the development and fruits of the economy, developed economy has not been tested by Nepalese youth. So they are concerned, but economic debate are very less in Nepal. The political debate, again, very, if you look at any newspaper, the front page covers not economic news or all political news. So, of course, yes, job, unemployment, low this job creation, private sector investment, low private sector investments are concerning. But if you look at the trend of last many years election, these are not been calculated, not been factored by voters. The voters' sentiment sometimes shifted in a different manner. So economy has not taken as a major focus of voting or priority for voters. So now there are so many other things which are driving this voter sentiment, not the economy.
Okay, sir, youth unemployment and migration from Nepal, especially not only to India but to other countries in search of employment. So these are major challenges for Nepal. So are the current political parties who are contesting these elections, are they offering any credible solutions to this?
They have offered last time. We have seen so many offer, different kind of offer. Like they say that some parties saying that we'll offer you free visa and ticket for if you go abroad, and some parties said that if you return to Nepal, we'll offer you job. So there are so many, high sounding, big dreams are they have floated many dreams, but they are not converted into reality. So yes, there is a concern. If you look at any party's manifesto, they say that they will create a job, they will create many industries, use hydropower projects. So they want to create more job, but due to several economic factor like low capital formation and low private sector confidence and frequently changing of regulations. These are the things which should hinder growth. And basically, private sector are also not forthcoming for creating job. Major if you look at major job creator are private sector, but private sector is not doing well because the private sector sentiment is also low. So, and political parties, yes, in every manifesto, if you look at all parties, irrespective of anyone, they have mentioned about the migration, they have mentioned about job creation, they have mentioned about retaining youth to Nepal, and some parties said we'll give you free ticket if you go abroad. So there are a different mix kind of thing happening in Nepal.
So, sir, Nepal also relies heavily on remittances, from abroad. So, do you think, given the current geopolitical situation in which there is an anti-immigration sentiment which is growing, so is this model sustainable? And is it being debated seriously in this in run-up to this election or during the election campaign?
Basically, in BOP circle, they enjoy remittance, and they say that we have exported youth, and the remittance is coming. So with the remittance alone is around 30% of our GDP, and that's why that is contributing to the forex reserve. Now, forex reserve cover around 21 months of our imports. So if you look at that sense, this remittance has given a very good strong forex position for Nepal. But if you look at in internal matter, there's a migration. There are two kind of migration. One is internal migration, which has created problem. If you look at rural part of Nepal, now every house is vacant. So there is no people there, but road and electricity has reached there, but there is no people to utilize that. And if you look at urban sector, there's the population is growing, and there's internal migration is also one issue, and external migration, of course, the youth are going out. So we don't find a very good skilled worker for Nepal. Also, the major problem for Nepal is when we send people abroad. Suppose if we cannot generate employment here in Nepal, we need to at least facilitate them to go abroad. But the problem is we have not upskilled them. They go for very, very primitive work and very labor intensive work, not for high skill work. So if we can upgrade them, and if you can upgrade them, if looking at the geopolitical issues, everywhere a skilled worker are required, and unskilled worker are also required. Even if something happen globally, but unskilled worker and semi-skilled worker will be demanded every part of the world. But looking at the situation, geopolitical tension and war between different countries, this model may not be sustainable. Now, Nepal has to find alternative way of creating job in Nepal and creating more employment, developing new projects. And all political parties say that will develop a new project. Even they say that will generate 15 to 20,000 megawatt electricity within 20 years or within 10 years, and they'll create more job, but it's not happening. So remittance model may look attractive right now for the forex purpose, but in the long run, when they return to Nepal, when they go abroad when they are young, they return when they are little more aged. So finding job and finding opportunity and exploring Nepal will be very difficult for them. So it will be a bigger challenge. But now still Nepal youth population, Nepal is very Nepal demography. If you look at demography, Nepal majority of, are youth. So still for some year, I don't see any problem for this model. But we need to start now to change and create a local employment.
So, how do you see Nepal's economic ties with other countries, especially India, China, and other partners? Do they feature in the current political discourse? Because China, there's a lot of buzz basically about China's growing influence and China's growing economic heft in Nepal, and it is also ideologically close to one particular party. So they have a common ideological ground. They have a common ideological ground with the communists, different factions of communists. So does Chinese influence, does it matter in basically this political discourse, whether overtly or covertly, because Chinese are known to be operating behind the scenes, trying to influence the outcome of the elections in several other countries. Because Belt and Road Initiative, Nepal had become part of the, correct me if I'm wrong, Nepal does have BRI projects also. And BRI projects are known to have created havoc in a number of economies, like we've seen in Sri Lanka and other smaller nations also. So, and also because Nepal has historic ties with India, and India and China, if not arch rivals, they do are considered to be rivals. So, how is it playing out in the Nepal's economic and political scenario?
External factor always have certain influence in Nepal. Even if you look at Nepal, three-side border is India. So and Nepal has the beauty of Nepal and India relation is you can freely move around. People can move around freely, and they can speak simple language, and they can understand. They can go for treatment in India. They can go. India is like a tourism or religious tourism. Everything Nepalese people, Nepalese youth travel to India for study. So there are so many connections. It's like roti beti, what we call relationship with India. And other part of Nepal is China. Basically, the terrain itself is very difficult. That's the area. Connectivity is very difficult. If you look at the three north, east, west, and south, the connectivity is very easy to India. And so there are certain influence from both the country. Yes, definitely there are certain influence. But if you look at politically, yes, you have rightly said there are a few parties who are directly linked to China, and certain parties who are directly connected to India. So there is a balancing effect is there. It all depends upon now which is it should be it's left or Democrats. If it is left, definitely they are tilted towards China. If it is Democrat, they are tilted towards India. So there is a balancing activities, and yes, it's require a certain amount of balancing, politically certain amount of balancing. But if you go through people to people, people are not concerned. These are only political debate. If you go to people, people are very quite, they don't see any difference between any country. People wants to travel all over the world, and Nepali has to go outside for job. If you look at unaccounted people living in India and going for every year, every season, there is a mass employment are there for Nepalese people. So economically, Nepalese people are more connected to India than China in reality than in ground level. But politically, there's a doubt. It depends upon left party or Democrat. So it's always it's clear to everyone in Nepal. So Nepal has to maintain this what you call um, foreign policy in a balanced way. If we keep that foreign economic diplomacy and our diplomatic relation with all the country globally, including Europe, America, in China, India, everywhere, you need to balance because Nepal need more capital, more money to invest because we have not developed anything. If you look at Kathmandu, we don't have any road we can operate for 365 days a year. So we need to do that. We need to improve our capacity, infrastructure capacity. We need to improve our electricity. We need to electricity is there, but there is no quality of electricity. The 24/7 electric power is not there for industry. So you have to do so many things. For that, we can't tilt to one country. We need to be balanced. We need to take advantage of entire world as a partner, not as one as enemy or other as friend. So my thought and my concern is always when I talk to political leader, I say that you need to balance. We need more capital, more job creation. So for that, our local capital is not enough. So we need to think any foreign help, whether grant or investment or loan, whatever, is a friend. They are friend, not enemy. So yeah, of course, yes, there is a effect. Certain kind of effect will be there in political system, but in ground level, people hardly, think about which party is related or linked to other which country, because they are not that sensitive towards any political, what you call foreign policies or economic diplomacy. But people are more concerned about whether this party will do certain project in their area, whether they are popular in their area or not. So these kind of political debate are not there in ground level, but in political level, yes, there are these kind of debates.
So my last question is, no, post-election, when a new government takes oath and comes into power. So what, as an economist, what do you think, what should be the immediate economic priorities of the next government so that, it can provide more jobs and better infrastructure. So what should be the immediate economic priorities of the government to restore confidence and growth?
First of all, I think the major priority for Nepalese is to have one, strong government. So they need to select one party which can form a government and at least retain for another 5 years. It's not like every 3 months or 4 months you have new prime minister. If you have that kind of result after election, then nothing will progress. So first of all, Nepalese people has to think we need to give a priority for at least government should be there for another 5 years. If the majority government comes into play, then they have to change so many law. Like first of all, they have to revamp the capital expenditure procedure, and there are certain rules and regulations which are hindering a capital expenditure. Second, they have to rewrite foreign investment policies, and they have to give and rewrite taxation policies. There are so many things they have to do if they want to develop economically. Now we have done, if we in my lifetime, I've seen many kind of democratic process. Many revolution has happened, but there are only one economic revolution which has happened in 1990. After that, there is no economic revolution has been done. So we need to change the entire economic process, rewrite so many laws. We have many laws which are hindering private sector growth. So we need to change several laws. And there are the list of law which has already been, circulated by CNI and FNCCIs, business bodies. So they need to consult with the private sector and change the rules and regulation. Government must be like, government should work as a facilitator, not as a controller. In Nepal, government policy are basically targeted towards controlling business, not to facilitating business. So my concern, my suggestion for the upcoming government, which whoever come, even if it is the coalition government, um, they they have to like give a stable policy. They should not change the policy frequently and make it private sector friendly policies.
Thank you, Mr. Bhattarai, for sharing your deep insights. General elections in Nepal on March 5th is a developing story, and we'll continue to track this story. And we hope to have Mr. Bhattarai also back on our podcast soon to share his deep insights once again, and we'll be discussing some more issues. And thank you for watching, viewers, and thank you, Mr. Bhattarai. Thank you so much for sharing such deep insights and taking time out from your busy schedule.
Thank you, Anandji, for having me here.